A very good morning, and thanks for clicking on to Vogan's European Outlook, Tuesday the 19th of July. And whatever way you want to cut it, hype, hysteria, overexcitement, scaremongering, putting the fear of God into people. The heat wave is playing out as expected. The forecasted temperature I had for yesterday was 39.0 Celsius. That fell short actually, and it looks as if Santon Downham in Suffolk recorded a temperature, a UK maximum temperature of 38.1 Celsius, so slightly shy of the UK record set back in July 2019 at 38.7. But it looks as if that is going to fall today, and it also looks as if we are potentially going to see the first UK 40 in recorded history. Temperatures yesterday broke an all-time record for Wales at 37.1 Celsius recorded here, and surpassing the previous record by a full 2 Celsius. Northern Ireland got very close. Derry Lynn got to 31 point something, 31.1 I think it might have been. It was actually Ireland's second hottest day on record, 33.0 Celsius recorded in Dublin's Phoenix Park. So a very impressive heat indeed actually here as well. So eastern portions of the Republic getting very close to the record, as you can see here. And widespread mid to high 30s was recorded. Even up into Scotland, we've seen two sites record their hottest day on record. Aboyne, Aberdeenshire, 31.3, and Lookers in Fife, 31.3 Celsius as well. Even Edinburgh at Gogar Bank near the airport recording 30.6 Celsius. Somewhere in the southeast of Scotland may surpass the record through the course of today. It was a very warm overnight period, relatively fresh across Scotland, but once you get into England, we had widespread temperatures staying above the 20 Celsius mark, and in particular it looks as if we had the hottest night in recorded history for the British Isles, several spots exceeding the previous record set in 1990 at Brighton of 23.9 Celsius. Look at this here, Emily Moor, which I think looks like Yorkshire. I'm sure somebody can correct me or point me. I should have done my research before doing the video, but Emily Moor looks as if the minimum temperature was 25.9 Celsius. Very, very, very warm indeed by British standards. Now, I've had a few folk on the comments from the previous video saying Brits have to get a grip. 40 Celsius is not that hot. Might not be if you live in the desert, might not be that hot if you live in Perth, for example. Parts of the world that is more accustomed to seeing those kind of temperatures, it's not that bad. But basically our bodies are not equipped for that kind of heat. Upper 30s is generally the limit for most Brits, I think. But of course we're starting to raise the bar in terms of temperature as we knock on the door, if not exceed 40 Celsius for the first time in recorded history. And this is the current setup here. So we've got, of course, high pressure well out over the near continent. We've got an area of low pressure down to the south, and of course we do have a couple of showers expected across the Irish Sea, Anglesey, into the Liverpool, possibly Manchester area, eastwards towards Leeds, up towards kind of Doncaster way. We've got some showers showing up on the GFS this morning. As we play through the loop here, you can see here these dark colours representing some very, very hot surface temperatures indeed. And a big difference, by the way, temperatures this morning compared to yesterday morning. And of course, the reason why we're very confident in the temperature being higher than it was yesterday is the overall setup. Basically, we've got an approaching front from the west. We're going to start to pick up the south to southeasterly wind flow that is coming from the core of the heat over France. But we're also seeing the temperatures at 850, 5,000 feet above our heads, warming now. Camborne in Cornwall recorded a temperature at 5,000 feet of 25 Celsius, which I believe is the record for the UK, by the way. That is the warmest 850 temperature, I believe, in recorded history at that level over British airspace here. So, of course, when you factor in the several degrees warmer to start the day off than it was yesterday morning, we've also increased the temperature aloft, and of course you factor in other aspects including wind, the strong sun, and of course you can boost the temperatures from the 38 yesterday up perhaps 2, 3, maybe even 4 Celsius on top of what we've seen yesterday. So the overall emphasis being on a much warmer day. Amazing actually to consider that the highest temperatures in the British Isles through the course of today could be well to the north of the climatologically hottest part of the British Isles, which is generally the kind of West Midlands, South Midlands, down into the southern portion of England, southeast corner, of course, and a well-known hotspot, and holds the record that was set back in 2003 and also in 2019. But we're actually seeing the core of the heat further north this time, and it looks to be in an area roughly from about what works up in Nottinghamshire all the way up through potentially Doncaster and even up towards kind of Leeds, Bradford area. We could put out about the hottest temperatures anywhere in the British Isles, which is highly unusual. So there are so many different factors to consider here when it comes to this heat wave overall. How are you coping with the heat at the moment here? Do please drop a comment below and let me know what your take of this heat wave is. Did you struggle to sleep last night? Are you finding it particularly uncomfortable during the daytime? What is your temperature out there? Through the course of today, I'll be quite interested to see that here. But looking at the chart here, this is of the GFS, the 850 temperatures, and you can see here at 12 o'clock, we've got an area, widespread area of low 20s at 850. Notice here much fresher air over the Atlantic. That will eventually move in and kind of push the heat out to the east here, and but it's this zone right here, generally south of Newcastle, all the way down towards Cambridgeshire. That is this section, west and east of the M1, that could see the temperatures reach the low 40s, which is pretty remarkable stuff here. And you notice here at 1500, right in this zone here, where the 850 temperature appears to be, 23 to 25 Celsius. This is the core of where the hottest temperatures at the surface are going to be through the course of today. Let's have a look at the maximum temperatures according to the model here. So we do have upper 30s, so 39 Celsius it looks like, all the way up to the north of York, or around about the York area. We've got 39 Celsius, and then we've got a 40 down towards like Wisbech, and 39 into London. Let's have a quick look actually at the close-up view here, just to see the closer details, so to speak here. So let's see Tuesday afternoon, and this is at 1800, by the way. There's 341 showing up here. So east and southeast of the Leeds Bradford area, there's a 40 right just in the south suburbs of Leeds, as you can see here, and then down the M1 basically, you can see here a large area of 40 Celsius here, extending from north of Leeds, well to the north of Leeds. If you notice here, that looks like Scotch Corner. It's just incredible to see, all the way down to Greater London here. We're talking about 40 Celsius through the course of the afternoon. So very, very impressive heat. No question about that here. And what is interesting is when we look at the climate change aspect, dare I say that, because I'll tell you what, that has been going bonkers. And we knew that was going to take place. This heat wave would be basically jumped upon by the climate change folk. Now, whatever your take is, whatever your opinion is with regards to climate change, here's a little bit of balance. Now, the global temperature is sitting for today A day that we expect to see the UK's first recorded 40 Celsius, may I add, recorded, because I personally am struggling with the aspect that we haven't seen this heat ever in the thousands of years that the planet's been around. I am struggling to buy the fact that this is the hottest ever. It's the hottest in our lifetime, no doubt about that. But perspective, the world is an old place, our planet is an old place, and I think it has seen a lot of things over the many, many years that are way before our time. The Earth is sitting on zero point 0.2 Celsius above normal. The Northern Hemisphere, a half a degree. The Southern Hemisphere, slightly below. Arctic, 0.1 Celsius, not 1, but 0.1 Celsius above normal. Here's the Antarctic, minus 2.5 Celsius below normal. The tropics, 0.2 Celsius above normal. And the thing is, folks, the media and some agencies as well are jumping in this and frightening the life out of people who think that the planet is burning up. Let me tell you something, it isn't. And there is a lot of areas, including Alaska, Western Canada, Eastern Europe, western portions of Iberia, by the way. We've got central portions of Russia across the top here, China, India, places that are typically seeing 30s and 40s and upper 40s at this time of the year. It's below normal. So let's just take a deep breath here and say to ourselves, let's look at the big picture. And the planet is warmer than it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I'm not saying it isn't, but let's just look at the global aspect, the whole picture, as opposed to just Western Europe and, we're about to fry and die, so to speak, here, because that is certainly what the media are trying to portray. Cooler times to come, as I say here. Let's have a look at the 850 temperatures, and you can see here we do cool down significantly over the UK here. So look at this here. Fresh air moves in. Yeah, still 12 Celsius at 850. Still going to be warm temperatures roughly. But here we wipe out the extreme heat and breathe a sigh of relief. Fresher air coming in by the time we reach the weekend. 1976, by the way, seems to be a lot of talk about that. The problem that you have with regards to this, in comparison to this, is we might be 5 degrees warmer than it was back in 1976. The problem is that 1976 lasted, all summer? This heat wave is lasting, if you're lucky, a week. Again, perspective. Yes, the temperatures shoot through the roof, surpassing 1976, but then it comes back down again. And we do have the prospect of seeing more very, very warm conditions later in the month, potentially, and August. Why? Because we've got a really warm water sea surface temperature. We've also got very dry ground, and the atmosphere is primed. The Mann-Julian oscillation, I believe, is moving. So therefore, the core of high pressure over Western Europe is now going to shift. But of course, that Mann-Julian oscillation could go right back round the same place it was, which was the Western Pacific. That, I believe, boosted heights over Western Europe with dry ground in place. All the ingredients were there for this type of event. But there is shifts in the tropics, therefore we should have downstream shifts in the upper air pattern across Western Europe here. Perspective is important, folks, and like I say, there's folk on this channel that probably believe that climate change and all that's to blame for carbon dioxide. Wow. I think it's a lot more complicated than just it being carbon dioxide and cutting emissions. I'm afraid I think it's a much bigger deal than just one aspect, so to speak. So that's it for today. Do stay tuned. I will do a video later on if we hit the 40 Celsius mark. Stay tuned. Have a great day. Bye for now.